Hi guys! So I have been cosplaying since 2013, and as such I've done an array of cosplays. And throughout this time, this journey, I have always seen comments from people along the lines of they've always wanted to cosplay, but they don't know how to start, or it just feels so overwhelming, or they don't feel they have the skills to do it. And I just want to say that I was there too. I had to start somewhere as well. And I know how intimidating it can be to just see some amazing cosplay if it's the same character that you want to do and just not knowing how to even grasp how to do it yourself. So I wanted to make this video to try and encourage some of you to do it and give you that boost to let you know how to start doing this, how to start cosplaying. First thing is, don't compare yourself to other cosplayers. In order to really give cosplay a try, the first thing you need to take care of is your mentality. If you're already like, well, I can't do that, well then you can't, because you're having that mentality to weigh you down. You gotta get rid of that. Even if it seems impossible to do, you gotta be like, I am willing to give this a try, and I can make this work, you know? For instance, let's say you do give a character a try, and then you go on social media and you see some other cosplayer have also given that character a go, and you deem that their cosplay is better than yours. And in your head, you're basically like, wow, mine sucks. Theirs is so good. They have everything. They did it right. The makeup is so perfect, blah, 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 blah. No, do not do that. When you are looking at someone's social media and you see someone who is doing an amazing cosplay, it's probably because they have years and years worth of experience under their belt. And it shows. But they too started somewhere just like you. You gotta think of it like any other skill. Like, let's say you wanted to start learning an instrument. So you got the instrument and you've been practicing. And then you open up Spotify and then you listen to one of your favorite songs, and now you're upset because the instrument of your choosing doesn't sound as good when you play it when you hear the professional song on Spotify. There's obviously a huge difference between someone just starting to learn an instrument and someone who does it for a living, a professional. There is a huge experience gap between that. And it seems weird that you would compare yourself to something like that, right? Well, same thing goes for cosplay. You're just starting out and still learning. If you keep going for it and keep trying, you will continuously get better, and eventually you will be that cosplayer that other people look up to because your skills have been improved because of all that experience. It's the same as everything else. You just gotta be a little patient, because you'll get there. Once you understand that mentality, the pressure of being perfect is no longer such this huge burden on your shoulders. You don't have to be perfect on your first try, and once you get that burden off your shoulders, the cosplay that you've been wanting to do won't feel as daunting, and that's what we're going for. Second thing is to start with a reasonable character. We all have our dream cosplays, and maybe your dream cosplay happens to be a very complex character, costume-wise. If you're on the fence about cosplaying where you're not certain if it's something that you would be into but you still want to give it a go, you might not want to choose a character that you would have to dump a lot of money into. Plus, that complex character can quickly become overwhelming because they most likely have a lot of props or maybe little embellishments or what have you that makes it so much more difficult. Trying a simpler character so you don't get overwhelmed might just be the perfect thing for you, because getting overwhelmed is the worst thing that can happen when you are working on a cosplay, because that can halt you in your tracks and then you never finish it. So we gotta make sure it doesn't get there. For instance, something that would be really easy is the My Hero Academia gym uniforms. They are very recognizable since My Hero Academia is so popular. They apply to an array of characters from all of the students, and then you can choose who you want to be and you can use them over and over again. They are also fairly cheap on certain cosplay sites, so you also wouldn't be out that much money if it turns out you gave it a try and you wind up not liking cosplay, because cosplay isn't for everyone, and that's okay too. Or maybe you're like, well, that might be a good idea, but I don't really want to do an outfit that everybody's doing, which is also understandable. In that case, another example would be something like Deku's training outfit before he's entered into UA. It's still recognizable, yet super simple at the same time, plus it'd be very comfy. Once you give something like that a try, you can decide for yourself, hey, this hobby is for me, or hey, this isn't my thing. But if it is your thing, then you know that you can go farther this time and choose something that's a bit more confident and unique to you, because now you know for certain this is something that you are into. The third thing is that all forms of cosplay are valid, and this is very important to know. You can cosplay in any way that you want. This could mean buying it, making it from scratch, or thrifting it and altering some pieces. It doesn't matter what way you prefer. All ways are fine. And it's also important to note you do not have to be canon. You can do whatever AU you want. It's up to you. Or not even that, you can just do a closet cosplay. Whatever works for you and your budget, you can make it work, and it's all valid at the end of the day. This also applies to certain styles of makeup or certain styles of wigs. It doesn't matter how you do it. You can do the makeup how you want, you can style the wig how you want. It doesn't matter if it's the same as everybody else or if it's completely different. It's what works for you, and because of that, it's valid. Fourth thing to note, you do not have to use conventional ways when making your cosplay. By this I mean you don't need to have a top-notch sewing machine or the best materials and fabrics if you are making it. No, a hot glue gun will go immensely far, and you should use that to your advantage. It doesn't matter if it's technically not right to just glue embellishments onto your cosplay, and instead you should have sewed them. There is no should. Do whatever works for you. If that's what works for you, and that's what you're capable of doing, then hot glue it right on there. Because again, there is no right way to do it. There is no right way to cosplay. However you do it is just as right as everybody else's. Now let's move on to more of the actual tips that you can apply to however way you are making your cosplay instead of just mentalities, basically, you know? So now let's discuss buying cosplays. To start with, if you fully plan on buying your cosplay, you might want to check out MIC Costumes. Now, the only reason I'm saying this is because I have ordered cosplays from them in the past, and when they arrived as it was stated online. All the pieces were there, it fit as expected, all was well. Now, there are a bunch of other cosplay sites where you can order costumes from, but I can't vouch for them because I've never ordered anything from them. All I can vouch for is my experience with MIC Costumes, and that's all I can say. For wigs, Amazon is a great place to get some for cheap. Yes, Arda and Epic Cosplay wigs are very nice quality, and you can do a lot more with them. However, they are more pricey, and if you don't have that big of a budget, a cheap Amazon wig is fine. Just be sure to read the reviews, and if it has a lot of decently good reviews, it's probably a good buy. And there have been times where I have ordered a wig off of Amazon, and when it came, it was much better quality than I even anticipated. Those ones are harder to find, I will admit. However, you could get lucky and find one of those as well. Most of them are perfectly acceptable anyway. Next, let's go over thrifting cosplays. Now, usually making your cosplay and thrifting tend to go hand in hand, but for the sake of this video, we are going to pretend that they are entirely separate. Never underestimate your local Goodwill or any other thrift shop in your area for that matter. Thrift stores can have the reputation of just having a bunch of old junk, but that's simply not true. There have been many times where I have stumbled across something that is new with the tag still on it. Plus, if you go on Goodwill's half price day, you might find the perfect thing you're looking for. From there, since you didn't drop that much money on whatever piece it was to begin with, it will be mentally easier to tear that piece apart. Now, it could be something that has sleeves, but for your cosplay, it needs to be sleeveless, so tearing the sleeves off will just be easier in general. Or you could find a piece at Goodwill, tear it apart so you can make your own pattern from the pieces. Either way, deconstructing whatever item you bought is a lot easier when you're not going to be out that much money if you wind up ruining it. It's okay. Going along with that, you do not need a perfect match for your cosplay. You just don't. Now, I can understand if you want it to be a perfect match, but just know it doesn't have to be. But it's perfectly fine if you find something close and then alter it to what you need it to be. The best advice I can give to altering a piece is to just go for it. Maybe look up some YouTube videos if it applies to what you're doing and see what they have to say, but otherwise, just give it a go. Plus, altering pieces can be the most inexpensive way to learn sewing tricks. Now let's talk about making cosplays from scratch. If you're starting out with limited skills, then I might suggest if you plan on DIYing the entire thing, is to do one that also happens to have a YouTube video of that character uploaded to it, where someone is talking step by step how they cosplayed that character. Walkthroughs are so helpful because if you get stuck on something or just don't know where to start or what to do, you can watch that video and boom, now you don't have to overcome that obstacle by yourself because a bunch of free tips have just been shared with you. Another thing to note is that you do not have to have the best fabric for something. It's perfectly fine if you make everything out of cotton because that's all you can afford. It's fine. It doesn't matter. You don't need this super expensive silk or what have you. You don't need it. Now, if you want to do that and you can afford it, by all means, go ahead. But it's also not necessary. Also, you do not have to be perfectly canon either. You don't have to have the exact fabrics that are from the show or whatever you're doing. In fact, I encourage you to add embellishments or design it however you want and make it unique to you. That could mean adding frills or maybe designing something new altogether that is an homage to the original design, yet it's still unique for your purposes. And then you'd be cosplaying something that no one's ever done before. Sure, other people have done that character, but not in the way that you did. And when you're making it entirely from scratch, you have that freedom to do whatever you want. So take advantage of it. To help plan your cosplays, I do recommend the Cosplanner app, so then you can break everything down piece by piece. Because sure, if you're looking at something, it might not seem that hard as a whole, and then you start working on it and you're like, wait a minute, this is way more complicated than I anticipated. With the Cosplanner app, you can break it down to boots, pants, shirt, here's what I need for the wig, and here's what I gotta do for this, and seeing it piece by piece is kind of breaking it down into steps and makes it much more manageable, so it doesn't feel like this impossible endeavor. Well, I really hope some of these tips inspired you guys to give it a go. Cosplay can be so much fun, but I am perfectly aware that it can quickly be ruined if you're comparing yourself to others, or it just becomes so overwhelming that you don't know what to do and inevitably give up. But it does not have to be like that. Approach it reasonably, and you can accomplish whatever you want to. If any of you give cosplay a try after watching this, first of all, I am humble, but also I would love to see your cosplays. I'm on Instagram at OriginalMe Cosplay, so feel free to tag me or message me or what have you, showing me the cosplays that you went for. I would love to see them. It would be fantastic. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.